Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, as you can probably tell by the title and what's in front of you, I'm going to be doing a very long video, which is my complete Doctor Who DVD collection. Now, I have done one of these last year, however, I hadn't watched very many stories recently, so my opinions were very vague, and over the pandemic I have been watching loads of more Classic Who, and there are a few new additions in the collection. I have got a complete collection, so you will be hearing an opinion on every story. However, these opinions will be a lot more polished and specific. So without further ado, let's just begin, because this video is going to be long. So sit back, get a cup of tea, and relax. So let's begin at the very beginning with An Unearthly Child. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this one in quite a few years. However, it's not anything amazing. Part 1 is brilliant, and it sets up the rest of the show. But as a story, it's not great, but you have to give it credit where credit is due. Next up, we've got the Daleks. Now, this is obviously an iconic story because it introduces the Daleks for the very first time. I prefer the Cushing movie. I think I've mentioned that on this channel before, but hey, it's still good. It's still good. Next up, we have the Edge of Destruction, which I think is a very good two-parter. It's definitely mainly for character development, but I still think it's very good. Oh, next one, we have Marco Polo. Now, this is a sort of telesnap reconstruction. I have read the Target book, so I am quite familiar with this story. However, it's a great story. I really enjoy it. I wish it was found quite soon, really. However, yeah, it's a shame it's missing, but it is a good story. Next, we have The Keys of Marinus. Again, this was the first ever, probably 60s story that I saw, so it has a big place in my heart. I used to go as far as saying this is my favourite Hartnell story. I wouldn't say that anymore, but I still think it's a very decent romp. Next up, we have the Aztecs, which is genuinely a lovely story. This could be one of my favourite Hartnells, if not my favourite, maybe, I'm not sure. But it is such a good one. A beautiful, pure historical. Yeah, definitely recommend this one. Next up, we have the Censor Rights. This is an okay story. It's a bit boring in some parts. It is 6 parts. It can get quite repetitive and it is quite slow, but it's okay. The Reign of Terror. Again, it's been a while since I watched this one, but I remember it being decent. Planet of Giants. This one has always been a favourite of mine, really. It's just so innocent and harmful. Harmful? No, what's the opposite of harmful? Harmless, there we go. It's a lovely story, and I don't see the hate that it gets because I genuinely think it's a good story. The Dalek Invasion of Earth, again, a good one, pretty similar to the Daleks. I do prefer the Peter Cushing movie, but again, still good. The Rescue, this is a lovely little two-parter which introduces Vicky. You can't fault it really, it's just very, a bit like Planet of Giants, very harmless. The Romans, again, a good one, nothing too special. It's just sort of there really, but it's quite good. The Webbed Planet, this one's pretty interesting. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's okay, I suppose, it's fine. The Space Museum, now this one I have recently grown to appreciate and love so much more. I watched it a few months ago and I love it. It's one of my favourite Hartnells. A pretty simple plot, but a very good one. Yeah, good. Moving on, we have The Chase. Now this one again is brilliant. I watched it in January or February this year. It's lovely. It's quite a mess, but it's a brilliant mess. And yeah, the cast is just so good in this one. It's really enjoyable. Next up is the Time Meddler. Now I have a lot to say about this one because in previous videos I've said, oh, it's a bit boring, I've never really managed to get through it. And about a month ago now, I decided, right, let's give this a rewatch, see if my opinion's changed. And I really enjoyed it. Very thorough story. It's really good. I don't know what I didn't see in it first time, but again, really enjoyable, just a solid story. The Ark, again, yeah, this is a lovely little 4-parter. Dodo's in it. I love Dodo, so can't really go wrong. It's quite similar to the COVID situation as well, which is interesting. The Gunfighters, oh, I love a lovely Hartnell. I think this is so just warm. Is the only sort of adjective I can use to describe it. I can stick it on any time. It's really good. The War Machines. Now this could be my favourite Hartnell story. It's so ahead of its time. The War Machines are brilliant. Hartnell is brilliant in this. There's not much wrong with it at all, really. And finally, for the Hartnell era, we have the 10th Planet, which is an alright story. Yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's a classic, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Moving on to the Troughton era now, we have The Power of the Daleks Special Edition. I haven't actually watched the Special Edition, and I'm not too keen on the story itself. It's okay. Who knows? When I rewatch this, it might, I might find a new love for it, like I did with the Time Meddler. Hey. The Underwater Menace, yeah, this one isn't bad at all, really. Well, it is pretty bad, but it's not as bad as people say it is. I enjoyed it. The Moonbase, this one's an okay story. Yeah, it's just that, really. The Macra Terror, which is lovely. I love the Macra Terror so much. I'm so glad they animated it, because it's a simple 4-parter, but it's a great 4-parter and one that I can definitely rewatch any time. And the Faceless Ones, which you can just about see in shot there. I love the Faceless Ones. Always will, always have. Just a decent story all round. Moving on, we have The Tomb of the Cybermen, which is just a brilliant story, isn't it? Definitely one of Troughton's best. Simple but effective, and it's very good. The Ice Warriors, again, it's a pretty good story. Nothing mind-blowing, but decent enough. The Enemy of the World, a classic, pretty much, I'd say. I read the Target book more recently than I have watched the story, so I can only really comment on that, but it's good, it's always been one of my favourites. The Web of Fear, now this is one that I absolutely adore. I don't know what it is about it. It's probably in my top 10 stories of all time, to be honest. I only really discovered that in like December when I rewatched it. But it is just brilliant and it's so good. I love it. Can't wait for the special edition as well. Fury from the Deep, a new release-ish. Well, I say new, probably the most recent. It's okay. It's probably my least favourite of the animations. I don't really see it as a classic, but it's still quite good. The Dominators is rubbish. The Mind Robber, now this one's funny because I finished watching this one this morning as I'm recording this video, and it's lovely. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Still a little bit fictional, but I suppose that is half, the plot, isn't it? We have The Invasion, which is absolutely amazing. One of my favourites. A brilliant 8-parter all round. Next we've got The Crotons, which is a lovely story. I don't hate this one as much as people do. It's basically the Dominators, but done right. The Seeds of Death, again a good one. Not a classic for me personally, but very good. And finally, The War Games, which I did get round to watching about a year ago now. It's absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with this at all. Maybe it could have been 1 or 2 parts shorter, but I think it is just so epic and is in my top 3 classics of all time probably. It's just so good. Moving on to the Pertwee era, we have Spearhead from Space, which I do have in a Blu-ray form as well, but I can't be bothered to get that. But it's absolutely amazing as well. I rediscovered this story about a couple of months ago because I hadn't watched it for a while. Absolutely fell in love with it again. Definitely in my top 10 stories of all time. And the Silurians, again, a decent one. Probably not Season 7's strongest, but still, Season 7 is a brilliant season. The Ambassadors of Death, I finished rewatching this one a few weeks ago. It's very good, very good. I gave it a 7.5, I think. Just a decent Pertwee story. Nothing really wrong with it. And Inferno, which is probably my favourite Pertwee now. It's a classic. You can't really fault it at all. It's amazing. Moving on to Season 8, we have Terror of the Crotons, which I watched last summer. Brilliant, nothing wrong with it at all. This could easily be in my top 10 stories as well. It's just so fresh and lovely and warm, and it's definitely a summer story, I think. The Mind of Evil, again, it's been a while since I watched it, but pretty good, nothing really wrong with it. The Claws of Axos, it's okay, I suppose. It's not one of my favourites of all time by any stretch, but still, it's okay. Colony in Space, I haven't watched this one in years, and I've got really no rush to watch it either. The Daemons, absolutely amazing. One of Pertwee's finest. I think it's Damaris Heyman who's excellent in this, but sadly she died yesterday as I'm filming this video, so yeah. Day of the Daleks, a decent story. Watched this one a couple of months ago as well. Nothing mind-blowing, but a decent watch. Moving nicely on, we have The Curse of Pelagon, which again is a lovely story, one of my favourites of all time. You can't really see it, but it is signed by Yazan Churchman, who voiced Alpha Centauri, so that's lovely. We have The Sea Devils. I can't really judge the television story, as I haven't seen it in years. However, I just finished reading the Target book a few weeks ago, and it's amazing. It does bring back lots of memories, and it probably is one of my favourite Pertwees, I'd say. We have The Mutants, which I haven't watched in a while, and I have no reason to really rewatch it, but I will do eventually. The Time Monster, a lovely story, definitely underrated, overlooked, and underappreciated. The Three Doctors, yeah, pretty good. Might be a little overrated. It's not one of my favourites by any means, but it's still decent. Carnival of Monsters, yeah, it's fine, it's pretty good. Frontier in Space is excellent, probably my favourite of Season 10. I really enjoy it. Planet of the Daleks, yeah, decent. And The Green Death is a lovely ending for Joe Grant. I mean, a decent story too. I wouldn't hail it as 10 out of 10 or anything, but good. The Time Warrior, overrated. Invasion of the Dinosaurs, it's been a while since I watched this one, but if you can overlook the bad dinosaurs, it should be okay. What's next? Oh, I've missed one, I believe. Death to the Daleks, there we go. Yeah, it's fine. It's not a classic by any means, but I enjoy it. I'll just move you back, there we go. The Monster of Paladon, once again signed by Yazan Churchman, you can just see faintly there. But yeah, it's not as good as Curse of Pelagon, but still quite enjoyable. And Planet of the Spiders, which is decent. It's a nice end to John Pertwee's era. Kicking off Tom Baker's era with Season 12, we have... I do have the entire Season 12 on Blu-ray, by the way, but just for the purpose of this video, it's probably easier if I show you the DVDs instead. Robot is excellent, probably my favourite of the season. I just love it so much. The Ark in Space is brilliant. Not much to fault here as well, still excellent. Sontaran Experiment is excellent. Genesis of the Daleks is good. I'm really sorry, but I do find it a little bit overrated. However, I can appreciate what it does. And Revenge of the Cybermen, which isn't as bad as people say it is at all, really. I really enjoyed rewatching this on the Season 12 Blu-ray, which, you know, it really helped me appreciate the season a lot more. Kicking off Season 13 with Terror of the Zygons, which I think is a very good story. A pretty middle-of-the-road story, but a very good one. Nothing really wrong with it at all. Planet of Evil, it's been a while since I've watched this one, so I can't really give it an opinion. Pyramids of Mars, it's okay, it's pretty good to be honest. Probably a little bit overrated, but then again it's been a few years since I've seen it. The Android Invasion's pretty good, pretty underrated I'd say. The Brain of Morbius is a lovely story. Well, it's not really lovely, is it? It's quite dark and gothic. Definitely very Hinchcliffy. And the Seeds of Doom is one of my all-time favourites. Very good. I'd probably regard it as a classic. Definitely Season 13's strongest. Moving on to Season 14. Again, I do have this one on Blu-ray. However, for the purpose of this video, it's a DVD collection. The Mask of Mandragra. Very, very good. Underappreciated and underrated. I don't know, this story's just so lovely. The Hand of Fear, again, I don't really get the hate for this one. I really enjoyed it. For a while it was my top 10, in my top 10 classics of all time. I don't know, it's excellent. The Deadly Assassin is overrated quite a bit. Oh, something's lost. The Face of Evil is okay. The Robots of Death is an absolute classic, one of my favourites of all time. There we go. You know, the murder mystery element of it is just excellent, and I struggle to fault it at all. And the Talons of Wing Chiang, absolutely rubbish. No, I'm joking. Anyone who knows me knows this is my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. So, ta-da! 10 out of 10. Probably the only story I'd give a 10 out of 10. I've done a whole review on it. So check out that if you want to know my thoughts more in depth. Another excellent story, Horror of Fang Rock. Again, probably 9 out of 10. Excellent. I just love the atmosphere in it. It's a little bit slow paced, but I think the acting is excellent and it's just excellent. And it's just excellent all round. The Invisible Enemy is not so excellent. It's alright, I suppose, but far from anything outstanding, I'd say. Image of the Fendal, pretty good. Gothic. I remember watching this one when I was very young. I don't know why, but it creeped me out, this character. The Sunmakers, very good. It's been a while since I watched it. Well, I say it's been a while, it's been a few years, but very good. Underworld is pretty bad, and the Invasion of Time is pretty bad as well. So season 15 is a mixed bag, pretty much. Kicking off the Key to Time, we have the Reboss Operation, which I think is underrated. It's not a classic by any means, but I think it doesn't get talked about enough. The Pirate Planet, now this one is an interesting one. I love the Pirate Planet. I think it's probably my favourite from the Key to Time. Saying that, I've only watched about half of the Key to Time recently. I need to probably go through it again. But this is definitely my favourite, I know it is. Probably in my top 20 classics of all time. And funnily enough, this morning, as of filming this video, I finished reading the Target novelisation, which came out this year, which is absolutely brilliant. So this story is definitely in my mind at the moment. Next up we have the Stones of Blood, which is a decent one. The Androids of Tara, which is probably a close second in my Key to Time ranking. Very good, very good. Nothing really to fault there. The Power of Kroll, it's alright, I suppose. It's a bit of fun. And the Armageddon Factor, which is absolutely awful. Yeah, I don't get on with this one for some reason. Destiny of the Daleks, which is so underrated, just as good as Genesis, if not better. Saying that, half of that is because of nostalgic reasons. This was probably the first ever Tom I saw, I believe. City of Death, which is overrated, just like the Deadly Assassin. The Creature from the Pit is excellent. A fun romp, underrated. Nightmare of Eden, another fun romp. Season 17 is basically just that, but really watchable, enjoyable stories this season. The Mandrills are a lot of fun as well. Horns of Nimon, I finished watching this one a few days ago. It's a bit bonkers, isn't it? But it's fun. And Shada, which is absolutely excellent. It's a shame this was never properly made. However, the DVD does it justice and it's very enjoyable. The Leisure Hive, which is one that's probably due a rewatch because I haven't watched it in a while. However, I haven't got very high hopes from memory. Meglos, which is alright, I suppose. Nothing outstanding. Full Circle, which I watched all in one go about a week ago. It's alright, I suppose. Nothing absolutely amazing, but it's alright. State of Decay. There you go, State of Decay. Excellent and absolutely amazing story from Season 18, probably Season 18's strongest. I don't know really what it is about it, but I just love the story so much. And Warrior's Gate, which is it exists, I suppose. Keeper of Traken, which is alright. Actually, it's pretty bad. I watched this one on New Year's Day. I didn't get much enjoyment out of it, sadly. And Legopolis, which I think is a lovely end to Tom's era. Well, as a story, it's good, but to finish his era, it's a little bit weak. It's only a little four-parter. However, you know, I can have fun with this story. I can have fun. Kicking off the Fifth Doctor era with Castrovalva, which is a pretty good story. It's definitely better in the first half than the second half, but still alright. Fall to Doomsday, which is absolutely rubbish. Kinder, which is an overlooked story, actually. I do enjoy it a lot more than people usually do. The Visitation, which is lovely. I'm starting to read the Target book as of tonight, so that'll be good. Black Orchid, which I weirdly missed in my last Doctor Who DVD collection. However, I really enjoy it. It's definitely one of the standouts of Season 19 for me. I just thoroughly enjoy it. It's harmless, but it's lovely. Earthshock, which is a brilliant Fifth Doctor story, one of my favourites. Time Flight, which isn't as bad as people say it is, but it is very bad. You'd probably call it a guilty pleasure of mine, really. Arc of Infinity, which is... it's alright, I suppose. Snake Dance, which, again, it's sort of very middle of the road. Mordrin Undead, which is alright, very good. Terminus, which I don't have an opinion on at the moment. However, I'm rewatching this one tonight, so sorry about that. But hopefully it'll be good. Enlightenment, which is alright. Again, most of the Fifth Doctor stories are just alright. The King's Demons, which I really enjoy. A very easy two-parter. The Five Doctors, which is just excellent, isn't it? Warriors of the Deep, which I don't think is as bad as people say it is. Probably one of the highlights for Season 21. But saying that, Season 21 is far from my favourite season. The Awakening, which I think is decent. Ish. Frontios, which is alright. Resurrection of the Daleks, which is fine, good. Planet of Fire is alright. I finished rewatching this one about a couple of weeks ago. The location work in it is lovely. However, it does fall short, probably towards the end. And finally, The Caves of Androzani, which obviously sees out Peter Davison as the Doctor. I wouldn't hail it as a classic like most people. However, I still think it's a decent romp. Kicking off the Colin Baker era now, we have The Twin Dilemma, which is absolutely awful. Probably one of my least favourite stories of all time, if not my least favourite story of all time. We have Attack of the Cybermen, oh god, which is alright. Again, I rewatched this one recently. I don't really get on with the Colin Baker era, sadly. However, it's okay. Vengeance on Varos, which is my favourite story from the Sixth Doctor era. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Syl is the standout by far. Mark of the Rani, which isn't that bad, but it is pretty weak, to be honest. The Two Doctors, which is... it's okay, I suppose. Again, it's not one of my favourites of all time. Time Lash, which is pretty bad. Revelation of the Daleks, which is one that is probably due a rewatch. However, I don't remember liking it too much. The Trial of Time Lord now, we have the Mysterious Planet, which is okay. Mind Warp, which is my favourite out of the 4 stories. I think it's pretty good. Terror of the Vervoids, which again is okay. And The Ultimate Foe, which I think is underrated and pretty good. Moving on to the McCoy era now, we have season 24, which I'm going to pre-warn you, I do love season 24. I can't wait for the Blu-ray to come out later this month. Time in the Rani, very good. Paradise Towers, very, very good. Delta and the Bannermen is very, very, very good. I really enjoy Delta and the Bannermen. I don't care what anyone says, it's a guilty pleasure. It's a lot of fun. And Dragonfire, which I thoroughly enjoy as well, introduces my favourite companion, Ace. Remembrance of the Daleks, which is pretty good. I wouldn't probably hail it as a classic, again, like most people do, but I really do appreciate it, and it kicks off season 25 in style. The Happiness Patrol, which is probably my least favourite McCoy story, however, still very good. Silver Nemesis, I rewatched this one recently, and it isn't as bad as I thought it would be from memory. However, it's quite goofy, but it's a lot of fun. And finally, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which is struggling to focus. There we go. Again, I've read the Target book more recently than I've watched the story. But yeah, it's very decent. I remember lots. This is the final stretch now, and kicking off season 26, which once again I do have on Blu-ray. However, it's a DVD collection video. So we have Battlefield, which is absolutely fabulous. Probably my top 10 stories of all time. I love every minute of it. Ghostlight, which is signed by Sophie Aldred there, but it's, there you go, you can just about see from my shadow of my hand. Again, very good story, very gothic, and I'm probably going to rewatch this one on Halloween, because it's that sort of story. Curse of Pelagon, which is absolutely amazing. I love it. One of my favourites of all time. Definitely my favourite McCoy. Excellent, just so good. And finally, Survival, which is brilliant. No faults here at all. The TV movie, which is quite a guilty pleasure of mine, to be honest. It's not that bad. It's a lot of fun. More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, which is a 1990s documentary, I believe. I really enjoy the documentary. It's a lot of fun. Pop it on anytime, and if you don't have it, then get it, because it's worth watching. Lost in Time, I don't know why this is in this part of the collection, but it just is. Some good stories on there, actually, if a little bit outdated now. Scream of the Shulker, which I have never watched and probably never will watch. And K9 and Company, which again I've never watched and probably never will watch. So there we have it. That was my Doctor Who DVD collection of 2021. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've given my opinion on pretty much, well, every classic story. I'm very happy to have a complete collection, and here's to another year of rewatching Who. So I'll see you next year for the next Doctor Who DVD collection, whenever that may be. So I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for future content as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Bye for now.